Please welcome John!
Thank you for the introduction. As he said, my name is John Mittel, and I am the co-founder of Focus. Okay, that's the way it goes. So that's the product right there. And today, I wanted to speak to you guys about the idea and how it came from when I had the idea to when I launched the product. In order to do that, I'm going to use a few pages from a book that my mom got me for Christmas the year after I started Focus, called What Do You Do with an Idea? So I love this book. I thought it was such a great gift from my mom. It was kind of like this nod, I'm proud of you, I support you, and I loved it so much that it sat on my bookshelf until 3 weeks ago when I finally read it, and I thought, wow, this has some really great points that will help me create a thread for you all and for me as I tell this story. So from idea to now, it's been nearly a decade, and I've been through a lot of changes, so we'll try and condense this down in the timeline for you all so that you get something out of it. So one day I had an idea, which could not be more accurate. And this is me in 2014. This version of me was full of energy, super excited to start medical school. This was taken the day before I started, before my first day of med school, and before my first day of my 19th year of schooling at that time. And like I said, this version of me was full of energy, wasn't a big caffeine drinker, didn't like coffee, still don't like coffee. And really, caffeine was reserved for late nights, early mornings, but it wasn't something I had every day. Now, fast forward a year and a half, and I'm starting my first semester of my second year, and I'm spending a lot more time in the library. So classes are usually from 8 or 9 until 2 or 3, depending on what the schedule's like. I might go home, change, grab some food, and then I usually would go back to the library. And at this time, by this time, I'm drinking a lot of coffee, which again, I still hate. I'm drinking a lot of Diet Coke, diet sodas, which I know are terrible for me. And I'm drinking a lot of energy drinks. And I get to the point at this stage, October of 2015, where it's not really working like it used to. I'm drinking too much, I don't feel as great. So I make the decision that I'm going to cut out as much of the diet soda as I can, as many of the energy drinks as I can, and I'm going to really transition to coffee and water. So as I'm in the library at night, every night the same thing happens. It's 7 or 8 o'clock, and I want to study for a few more hours, and I run out of energy. And I would go get coffee, and it was just this vicious cycle because I would get coffee, it would give me the 3 or 4 hours I wanted to study, and then I'd go home and I couldn't fall asleep, and I had to wake up early, so then I'd need more caffeine to stay awake, et cetera, et cetera. So it was just a really bad cycle. So one night, October of 2015, I decide I'm not going to do that anymore. I go to the vending machine, I get a 20-ounce bottle of Dasani water, and I sit it on my desk. And as I sit there staring at the water that I know is not going to give me the energy I want, I had this idea. Why isn't there just caffeine in water? Something that would give me the energy from caffeine, but wouldn't give me the extra additives, the sweeteners, the fake sweeteners, everything else, all the junk that's in energy drinks, and I also didn't have to drink coffee. So little did I know that that idea would be so impactful, because at the time, I still planned on practicing medicine. I had no desire to start a beverage company. I was just started looking for that product in the market, something that would fit my own need. But I couldn't find anything I liked. So the next part of the story comes down to the share, right? And sharing an idea can be something that's very challenging, because what are people going to think? What will they say? And so I kept it pretty close kept looking myself to find a product, but it wasn't something that I was going out saying, I really want this. Again, no intention of making it. And that was until I shared the idea with my now co-founder, Tom, who's right there on the left. So a little bit about Tom and I had worked for Tom all through undergrad and all through grad school, through med school, as really doing as an Uber driver before Uber was even in Louisville. I mean, that's how long ago it was. And I had done that up to this point for about 6 years. And he would always ask me, hey, do you have any ideas? You know, you're young, what are you thinking? And we had about 1,000 ideas. I thought some of them were pretty good. He thought most of them were pretty terrible. And it was until one night, probably a month after I'd had the idea for caffeine and water, he gave me an article that said, Red Bull does $5 billion in sales. And he said, that's incredible to me because that stuff tastes like garbage. It's terrible for you. It tastes terrible. How could they do $5 billion in sales? Could we do something similar? And, I was a little hesitant to share my idea because the whole time he's talking to me about this, I'm thinking caffeinated water. And he says, maybe we could do like an inhalable caffeine. That's a terrible idea. Maybe we could do a caffeine patch. At this point, he's getting dangerously close to cigarettes and nicotine patches, etc. So I say to him, I just want a caffeinated water. And he said, that may be the best idea you've ever had. Because little did I know, he was going through the exact same, we'll call it a healthy transition that I was trying to go through. He works at the trading desk, so he trades energy. The whole buy low, sell high. And at his desk, he would drink, 6 to 8 Diet Coke a day. And he decided this is terrible for me. So he started drinking coffee and water. So at the time that this idea was presented to him, it was not only a need for myself, but really a need for him. So when you talk about taking a chance to share with somebody, it's really challenging for me to probably articulate to you all how perfect the timing was, but it was not only the right time, but it was the right idea and the right person. So that was also October of 2015. And we moved on to trying to make the product. And again, by this time, it still seems like a pipe dream. I'm just going to be a physician. This is a fun product to work on, but nothing's going to happen. And that's where I was wrong. The idea started to grow and grow. And over 2 years, we worked on the formulation. We worked on the packaging, we worked on the naming of the product, and we landed on focus. And it was kind of a mix of what we both wanted. It's got 75 milligrams of caffeine, all from tea. So it gives you the same boost as an 8-ounce cup of coffee, but it's a really clean source of caffeine. It's got 75 milligrams of the amino acid L-theanine, which is known for that calming effect in tea. So when you pair it with caffeine like we had, you get a lift without the crash, there's no jitters, it's just an overall better caffeine experience. And the best part was there's nothing else in it, right? So you decide how much you put in your body, what you drink. And in October of 2017, we launched. So what's really interesting about this timing is that this is the same time I'm applying for residencies, right? So I have 2 decisions to make. And to make this a little bit more difficult, outside of my dad not being too excited about this actually coming to life, is that my oldest brother and sister are both physicians, and my oldest sister is in charge of the student affairs for the University of Louisville Medical School. So she's really worried that I'm going to start thinking about deferring residency. And this whole time I'm telling myself, I'll just do both. That's fine, right? I've done it for the last 2 years. We'll hire some people. By this time, we've hired 2 people. We're about to hire 2 more. And I'm thinking, I've got plenty of time. This is going to take forever. So we made 10,000 cases, and I remember looking at it in the warehouse and thinking, it's going to take forever to sell all of these. And within the first 2.5 months, so right around Christmas of 2017, we completely sold out. And everybody was telling us how much they liked it, how great it was, and I'm starting to think I'm going to have to make a decision. And one of the things that really led to me making this decision was, in med school, you have to take board exams. So your first one you take in your second year, your second one, called Step 2, you take in your third and your fourth year. And now these are tests that you study for 6 weeks for. And Step 2 is supposed to be the easier one because it's based on all the clinical work you've done in the hospital for the previous year, and basically it's a sum of the last 3 years. And everyone usually does the same or better. And as I'm taking this test, or preparing for this test the week before, we're also launching our first website. So I am putting off studying, and I'm working on this website. And as you sit down for this 9-hour test, you get 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes for a lunch break, or to use breaks as you feel need. So when I went to take my lunch break, I turned my phone on that was sitting in the locker, and I had 10 missed calls, 30 texts, a ton of emails, and our website wasn't launching appropriately. So during my 9-hour test, I hopped on with the developer, the 2 guys that we hired, and we spent 30 minutes of that 45-minute break working through the website issues. And as we wrap it up, get the fix in place, put my phone back in the locker, and I sit down at the computer screen about to do the second part of the test, and that's when I realized I would have to make a decision because I am going to ruin one or both of these things. So on Christmas, December 2017, I told my dad that I was not going to practice medicine after 4 years of med school, and that I was going to ultimately sell water full time. I had to tell my program director, my sister, my brother, but I can tell you that looking back on that now, after nearly a decade, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had, right? And taking away from that journey and taking the time to put this speech together, it made me think a lot about the risks that we take. And what you'll find is, as you get passionate about something, you're always trying to learn about it. You're listening to people that aren't in the same field but have been successful, and you're trying to find common threads. And there's one thing that Jeff Bezos, the guy who started Amazon, said, which I really, really like, and I think that it's something that you all might like as well. And it was that most of you, if not all, will have jobs. Some of you will be lucky enough to have careers, but not everybody here will be lucky enough to have a passion. And I can tell you that regardless of success or failure, outcome, was it worth it or not, I can tell you that this following your passion is the most satisfying thing you can do and the most rewarding task, because it divorces you from everything except building something. So I get to sit every day and watch a product that I had an idea for 9 years ago, sit on the shelf, sit online, and have people buy it. And all I can do is encourage you to follow your passions and to follow your ideas. Thank you.